Dude, I think we're actually going to the next area. Oh, man.
Rogue Trader. I was somewhat brusque at our first meeting, and I would like to make up for it by expressing my thanks for your assistance in the electrodynamic Cenobium. Your arrival could not have come at a better time. Unfortunately, my personal investigation has hit a dead end. I think I will have to call upon outside resources to continue the search.
I have something to confess. I discovered some kind of chaos artifact in the Cenobium's cogitator, and I deemed it necessary to dispose of it.
What? All right. All right. At the very least, the object of corruption, if that is indeed what it was, has been destroyed. This is a satisfactory outcome. There is one more thing. The Lord Inquisitor gave me this item some time ago. He must have thought it likely that I would find myself aboard this vessel sooner than he. I was instructed to deliver this device to Lady Theodora. However, given recent events, I believe I ought to present it to you. This is an elucidator, a sacred machine capable of translating the languages of remote and lost worlds into Low Gothic. It can even process Xenos languages to a certain degree. Not without infelicities, but possibly well.
Be honest, Vin Callux. Is this some kind of tracking device?
Certainly not. The elucidator is such a rare and complex creation of the Omnicia that neither I nor any of my colleagues would dream of compromising its integrity. If you wish, have your tech priests confirm that there are no listening devices inside.
What do you plan to do now?
I would like to offer my assistance in resolving your immediate problems. I am aware that the ship suffered considerable losses during the recent mutiny and was damaged by the cultists' actions, and you have lost many valuable officers as well. You are in a difficult situation. I am at your disposal.
Cool. What do you think will become of the electrodynamic Cenobium?
It all depends on the electro-priests who survived the attack. Fortunately for them, the cultists did not manage to seriously corrupt the holy site, partly thanks to the priesthood's efforts. Nevertheless, I would not be surprised if the local explorator fleet decides to audit and purge the damaged units once it hears about what has happened.
Oh my, I must return to my duties. Nox is about to say something when he's interrupted by the sound of a Vox signal. Someone is trying to contact you.
Thank you for your time. Please consider me at your complete disposal while I am aboard your vessel.
Oh, nice guy. Okay. Thanks, buddy. Oh, I can't believe these guys aren't voiced. Bad face. Congrats on the victory, bro! The entire vessel was impatiently awaiting the news of the expedition's success. The rumors about you simply saving the Text Priest Monastery but actually eliminating the source of the mutiny are spreading like wildfire. The Vox transmissions from across the world speak of nothing else. Governor Medine is expecting you at the command center to discuss matters. We're ready to depart immediately. Just give the order. Okay. Bedes. Super Bedes. We're good there.
Greetings.
Good there. We talked to the valet.
I have enjoyed your...
Good there. Dear, about your abilities.
What are you talking about, Lord Captain?
You're a Psyker. Psykers only granted the right to live with the Emperor's blessing. Have you ever been to Terra?
Look, Lady Theodora couldn't care less if some eggheads measured my brains or not. It's not about the seal on your forehead, get it? It's about what's in your gut, if it's rotten or not. My gut's stronger than the adamantine on this here ship. And my implants are better than the ones they put in you on your Terra. If they weren't, I wouldn't have lived as long as I have.
Seemed to have a very strong reaction to what Argenta said by the broken lens.
It was just my nerves playing up. Something about our little saint doesn't sit right with me, and I trust my gut. Oh sure, she seems straight as an arrow and as predictable as a hangover after drinking. But when I look at her, something about her makes my brain itch.
My brain itch.
After that conversation, I tried to listen to what was being said about her. Beyond the door, what I heard was strange. Blood in her past, twilight in her present, and something like a star leading her. But where is it leading her? I saw several roads, and all of them frightened me.
What's it all mean?
If I knew, I would have told you. Hearing things clearly requires cooperation from the other person you know. But that cobra just hisses and spits its venom at me. I don't trust her one bit.
Should we warn her?
Oh yeah. You go ahead and tell her the wicked Psyker has divined something about her. She'll be so pleased and grateful, and of course she'll listen to what you have to say. No, that would be pointless.
Okay,
And
fair.
anyway, I'm not even sure what it all means. Maybe the danger is to her? Or maybe the danger's coming from her.
Oh, awareness test failed. Wow. Bummer. Womp womp. Where'd he come from?
Lyra, an outlying world in the Heathen Stars region. In the Coronis Expanse, the deeper you go, the less visible the Astronomicon gets, and the less people know about the Imperium. The arrival of a rogue trader is the best thing that can happen to a world like that. The very best.
Tell me about Lyra.
It's an out-of-the-way planetoid between two faint stars. On Lyra, a dozen local tyrants fight over 5 measly continents. But they use everything they can to win, from poison to psychers. I haven't been there in many years, but there's nothing for me to miss. Trust me. But here on the ship is a different story altogether. I saw more wonders in my first year serving Lady von Valancius than I'd seen in my whole life on Lyra. Like my first journey through the warp, I was in bed for 3 days. I felt like supernovas were exploding in my head. I only found out later that I'd gotten off easy. Just through the bulkhead, in the bay next to mine, a whole team turned into... Look at me rambling on, Lord Captain. Pay no attention.
No. Finish your story.
It wasn't like it was a very fun trip, Lord Captain. But look, if you want to be entertained, I'm the woman for the job. I'll entertain you with one of the stories from my collection, no problem. But if you want to hear about the time I melted everyone in the bay next door, well, I just don't really want to go into the details on that one, all right?
Oh. Why is that guy T-posing next to you? Asserting dominance. Standard. What'd you do before you came to be on the ship?
Oh, I embroidered wall hangings in honor of our national heroes. I did the same thing I do here, Lord Captain. Divining. Our rulers prized the ability to see into the future. Every psyker that could be found was worth a small fortune on Lyra. There's no such thing as a peaceful life on Lyra. People like me were especially sought after. They'd pick psychers up wherever they found them, buy kids off their parents, even just abduct them. Take me, for instance. I got taken from my street gang. The older kids sold me when they noticed there was something off about me. The ruling dynasties had schools where they trained us and beat us black and blue. And then they packed us off to serve. Some of us held on for a long time, but others didn't last. Not everyone's as smart and talented as me, you know. Some people crossed the line and were out of commission before their time.
How'd you end up in the Rogue Trader services?
Theodora von Valancius paid a visit to the ruler I was serving at the time. I don't know what the visit was for, and it's no business of mine anyway. I can still remember the way the voices in my head changed when I looked at her. They were practically screaming. She had so much behind her, and plenty ahead of her too. As I gawked at her, all of a sudden I heard a whisper. A hint, a suggestion, nothing more. But I know the difference between idle chatter and a real threat. I seized my chance and approached Theodora. I managed to whisper a couple of words in her ear before the wardens dragged me away. They beat me and locked me up. No wonder. It wasn't my place to converse with outsiders. And then Theodora's people came for me. They broke down the wall, butchered the guards. Also, I could tell them my warning in full. So I said the rest, but I didn't want to go back to my old life. And so I entered the service of the von Valancius dynasty.
Cool. Have you ever been off the ship?
A few times. Not many. And if I think about it, why would I want to? I've got everything I need here. All the whispers I hear are familiar ones. They almost feel like family. And if I want to hear about the nightmares off the ship, I can. After some Amasek. But don't go getting the wrong idea. If I have to, I'll follow you to the edge of the galaxy.
Let's talk about something else.
Of course, Lord Captain.
What's it like being a psyker?
Lord Captain, forgive me. But it would be like talking to a person born blind about colors. I could spend hours explaining, but it wouldn't make any sense to you.
Okay, that's fair.
Every psyker feels their connection with the warp in their own way. One person might see spots and shadows out of the corner of their eye. Another feels fingers running down their spine. As for me, I've got a door in my head. One that's open just a crack. There's no way to close it, no matter how hard I try. I've just had to get used to the whispers from the other side. When I need to use it for work, I listen in more closely. But I usually just try not to notice it.
How do you live with this whispering in your head?
Training, habit, and a little Amasek and a couple other things you can get on the lower decks. If you put all those together, it makes things bearable. Sometimes I even wonder if I'm imagining half the voices I hear. You know, when life on board gets a little boring. Better than listening to the living, anyhow.
What would happen if your door busts open?
Well,
I was nervous.
If the door opens, that means somebody's planning to come in, right? But screw them. They're not coming through. Trust me. I know how to keep my valuable head locked up tight.
Are you ever afraid of losing control?
Only losers who are afraid of their own gift lose control. Or idiots who never figure out what they are before it's too late. Or little kids who want to play around with their shiny new toy. If you don't know the limits of your abilities, or you're always bouncing around in your own head, that's a recipe for disaster.
Can you see my future?
All right. That's what I'm here for, after all. So, I'm just going to lean on that door in my head a little more, prick up my ears, and listen to what the warp's got to say about you. If you'll allow it, I can listen right now.
Okay.
All right. Let's hear what they're whispering about you.
Idira laughs, rubs her hands together, and suddenly freezes with a vacant smile on her face, her head slightly tilted. You feel goosebumps appear on your skin, and your collar begins to waver ever so slightly as if moved by a breeze from a half-open door.
The glow of dawn bursts forth from its prison. Dungeon walls cannot contain the dark essence wallowing in the dust. A naive cub pushes his nose into a familiar hand, one that holds death in twisted glass. Cherish it or cast it off as a burden. The sword of change has already been raised. What is one more life to it? I'm sorry, Lord Captain. The voices are going wild. I can't make out a thing. I'll try to rein them in, somehow. But for now...
I'd like to hear your augury, Adira. What awaits me in the... Oh, wait. Did you know Theodora von Valencia as well?
None of the officers knew the Lord Captain well. Not even Abelard.
Thank you, Naz.
She was always closer to
store.
him than anyone else. She told me from the off that if I ever listened to anything in the warp about her without her permission, I'd be going out through the airlock.
Ah!
I'm not an idiot, so I never stuck my nose where it didn't belong. Only when I was asked.
I like it.
It's hard to wrap my head around the fact that she's gone. Lady von Valancius gave me everything I have. She opened the stars to me and the paths between them. I still think I can hear her voice.
Damn. Things are strained between you and Argenta, isn't that right?
The little sister is afflicted with her own set of voices. Ones that whisper to her about corruption and heresy. The silly girl doesn't realize that if she wants to find the source, she needs to start by looking in her own head.
Okay, got a new story?
You bet I do, Lord Captain. Okay.
Oh my god.
So, we went to Footfall once. Well, I mean, Lord Captain Theodora went to Footfall a lot. But on that occasion, she took me with her for some reason. My day had gotten off to a bad start. My head had been yammering since I woke up, but there was nothing else for it. I had to go. We arrive at the place. And what a place! All the gentlemen and ladies dressed to kill, showing off their encrusted implants, all clustered around little tables. Well, turned out it was a gaming den. And not just any gaming den, but one run by somebody with deep pockets for people with just as much cash to splash. You should have seen it. People gambling away planets in a game of regicide. Anyway, so the Lord Captain wanted me to help her beat some guy. So I tell her, the chips won't land in your favor. You'll get a bad hand. Don't sit down at that table, your ladyship. But did she listen? Of course she didn't. If there's one thing she never lacked, it's stubbornness.
Wow. Go on.
So they sat down and the cards were dealt.
There's
I'm hovering
so much of
around
this.
like I'm not involved, but I'm keeping my eye on things. And everything in my head keeps getting louder and louder. Anyway, it's a good thing I realized in time that my mind wasn't going haywire over a losing hand, but something else. I made some excuse to drag the Lord Captain up from the table and took her away from that place. And a few minutes later, the room where we'd been... It turned out some wise guy had the same bright idea to bring a pet psyker along with him. One of those ones who just scuttle around in Footfall's underbelly. And the psyker just freaked out, I guess. After all the commotion, people went to see what happened in the room. And they'd all gone for each other's throats. Literally. With teeth. And I think they completely detached that asteroid from Footfall and pushed it off into open space so it would head off toward the local star.
Jeez, dude. I'm gonna go now.
Of course.
Yeah. Okay. Whew. Oh, there's Abel. The servant of the Omnicia that you saved from the Electro-Priest Monastery calls himself Abel is staring intently at a cogitator's vid screen. Wires connect the sacred computing machine to augmetics inside the skull of tech servants who are whispering something, their heads bowed in prayer. Omnicia knows all, comprehends all. How are you feeling? The running of the Binharic protocols was bogged down and dissolved in false commands. The filter has separated the correct signals from the incorrect. The running has been restored to its swiftness. Tech Brother Abel has passed the diagnostics. The pernicious influence sacrilegious procedures have been completely eliminated. Statistically, most survivors of Schismatical's infestation are left with severe cognitive impairments. However, Tech Brother Abel's mind, being of a less typical nature, has not been damaged to that great a degree. Tech Brother Abel, you are free from possession, are you not? I trust you that you pose no threat on my ship. What was flawed has since been purged, but the shadows of the hunt linger. The Cohh is dismounted, and no judgment has been made. In the absence of judgment, the threat remains. Who will make the judgment? I will. Pascal places a mechadendrite on Abel's shoulder and repeats, his voice heavy like a wheel tread, crushing the dirt beneath it. I will make the judgment that will avert the threat. There is no need to frighten him. What troubles him so? I assumed at first this was caused by the shock inflicted upon his system by the schismatical attack, but my Tech Brother's words are a sign of a deeper reason for his unease. He foresees something that threatens both him and all those around him, and thus I stand ready to face the threat. What judgment do you speak of? Only he knows. Why are you so concerned about him? He's not the one you were hoping to find. Answer unknown. I am registering a kinship, both between our identifiers and one that is more profound. Archmagos Armanant left an imprint on all his students. It may be then that I see some of my mentor in Tech Brother Abel, and so my spirit rejoices and strives to keep him from harm. You care for him as if he was truly your younger brother. Tech Brother Abel is harmonious, and harmony is beauty. Is it so strange an urge to protect beauty from the horrors of the grotesque? I will try not to give any undue cause for dread. Thank you. Why do you and Pascal both call yourselves by the same name? The naming of the names is not an index to the text. The naming of the names is the text. Abel's answers can be enigmatic. His mind works differently than ours. He thinks in harmonic imagery and notices the symmetries and proportional relationships in the world around him. Poetry would be the closest analogy to how he perceives and interacts with reality. I never thought there'd be poets among the tech priests. Why would there not be? Technolingua is rhythmical and possesses a broad semantic scope, and some of its more sonorous dialects lend themselves well to individual and symphonic recitals. Damn. Pascal, do you understand what Abel is hinting at? Negative. However, I will hypothesize. Tech Brother Abel is seeking to convey the idea that our matching identifiers are not the key to some important information. They are, in and of themselves, the important information. At this stage of my analysis, I draw no useful conclusion. Excuse me. However, the very fact that Tech Brother Abel is trying to hint at something points to him either being better informed than me or having conducted a more in-depth analysis of the situation. Abel, can you explain what you mean? He relaxes a little bit. His gaze drifts to the side, then in silence. There's silence. Are we overthinking it? It doesn't matter why our names match. What matters is that they matched. Is that what you mean? At this point in time, the cycle has been broken and reshaped into a rising spiral. They are connected. My hypothesis regarding Abel's connection to the blessed Armanat has been confirmed. What are you working on? We catch the soul, the light, and the solar wind. We look for footsteps the Omnicia left when he walked the desert. This is a romantic computation procedure. Wow. Let's do logic. Look for logical connections within the data. Most runes are devoid of any meaning, but you notice a few among them that combine into formulae and computational graphs. Abel peers at you inquisitively, then shifts his gaze to the vid screen, and you could swear a smile lights up on his face under his respiratory augmenting. The crystal is exquisite and clear water. Deviation from the cycle's trajectory has been increased, as was Emirnat's wish. Abel lowers his head and his Vox synthesizer broadcasts a biharic rhythm you don't recall having heard before. The sound is full of vibrant energy, and its precise rhythm is nothing short of pleasing to the ear, a rare thing for the language of Adeptus Mechanicus. Tech Brother Abel has dedicated a lesser aria to you. The piece is distinguished by a high degree of acoustic harmony, and it's fit to use as a motto, auxiliary identifier, or epitaph. Thank you for the generous gift. The gift is disproportionate, but it does signify a personal liking. Why do you do it? It's how we carry the quest for knowledge in the hope that the machine god grants us an epiphany. Back to the sacred machine. Hair has been removed from every servitor's head. Their bulky cerebral augmentics cover their skull like helmets. Oh my lord. Have you heard what Abel said? It looks like we've contributed to Armanet's design and deviated from the cycle. What does that mean for you? You follow a charted path by a great mind, but that path leads to dark places. The cycle has the advantage of predictability. Abandoning it will plunge a collective into a perilous space of uncertainty, which will inevitably lead to disasters and a risk of downfall for all. The doctrine of discontinuing the cycle may be good tidings, or it may be a death sentence. Only the Omniscia knows all and comprehends all. Others are mere prophets who interpret his wisdom as far as their own comprehension enables them to. The cycle has the advantage of predictability. Abandoning it will plunge a collective into a perilous space of uncertainty, which will lead to disasters and risk of downfall. The doctrine of discontinuing the cycle may be good tidings or a death sentence. Disaster is just another word for new opportunity. Not missing it is what it's all about. The statement is true. The crisis motivates the system towards growth and elaboration. The more unbearable the test, the more earnest will be the mind's appeal to the Omniscia's wisdom, and the more stable the response. Abel looks away at once as if he's lost all interest in you. Then, however, his vox says, barely audible, I am glad to see you. Oh, thanks, buddy.
The Omniscia knows all, comprehends all.
I want to know the truth about you, bro.
The request is approved. I did conceal certain information. I was a student of Archmagus Amanat, but I committed an act of betrayal after he deviated from sacred dogma.
1 second, chat. I'm back in a second. Someone is making loud noises in my garage, and I'm gonna go check it out real quick. I'll be right back. Print some ads real fast. Mods, you know what to do.